Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't really know if this video is going to work out, but I saw recently somebody shared or retweeted this BuzzFeed quiz that's like, answer these questions and we'll tell you what book to read this month. It gave me the idea to do a reading vlog where I take a couple BuzzFeed quizzes and have those determine what books I'm gonna read. So I found two different quizzes that I'm gonna take. I have absolutely no criteria for what the books they have chosen are. I'm like completely leaving it up to fate and BuzzFeed. I'm a little bit nervous that I'm going to really regret this. I don't know if these are going to be YA books or adult books, if they're even going to be fiction. This could go very poorly. All right, so pulling up the first quiz. Answer 8 questions and we'll tell you which new book to read this month. Choose a job: scientist, doula, podcaster, teacher, matchmaker, chef. I'm gonna go podcaster. All right, choose a TV show: Dead to Me, I May Destroy You, Never Have I Ever, Jane the Virgin, Big Little Lies, Once Upon a Time. I've watched all of these except for I May Destroy You. I'm gonna go Once Upon a Time. That used to be like one of my favorite shows and then it got terrible and I stopped watching it, but like the first couple seasons, very good. Choose a source of conflict: amnesia, grief, paranoia, romantic mishaps, a curse, political oppression. Okay, well, I don't want to go with the last one. Not trying to live in reality. Let's do a curse. A curse sounds fun. Choose a book from your childhood: Harriet the Spy, Walk Two Moons, Holes, Ella Enchanted, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, The Babysitter's Club. Well, the only one I've read is Holes, and I don't even remember if I liked the book, so we're just gonna do it. You're back in high school. Choose an extracurricular activity: track and field, no. Student newspaper, auto shop, no. Band, no. Student council, nah. Drama club, no. I'm gonna do student paper. I wasn't on my student paper, but I did yearbook, which is like kind of similar. I was in band, I played the flute, but I hated it. I only did band because at my school, if you did band, you didn't have to do PE. So I did band. All right, choose a setting. Ooh, oh, this is hard. Ooh, a cemetery. I'm feeling the cemetery. No. Okay. It's between the cemetery or like the whimsical fairy path. I'm gonna go fairy path. Choose a genre of music: indie rock, soul, classic, folk, pop, hip hop. I'm gonna go pop. What vibe are you looking for? Engrossing, existential, gritty, heartbreaking, fun, sexy, sly, empowering, mystical, dark, eerie, suspenseful, disillusioned, swoon-worthy. Okay, I don't know. What vibe am I feeling right now? I'm gonna go mystical because the fairy path that I chose, kind of mystical. I'm feeling those vibes. Okay. Oh my god. All right, so I got Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardost. I have read a book by this author. It was called Girls Made of Snow and Glass, and it was a sapphic Snow White retelling, and I really liked it. So I'm excited. I don't actually know what this book is about. So it says, Soraya cannot be touched. Cursed by Divs, a society of magical creatures, as an infant so that her skin is poisonous. She lives in isolation, despite being the twin of the Shah of Golvahar, and finds solace in her garden. But when her brother arrives home from a campaign with a captured div and the handsome stranger who helped defeat it, she jumps at the chance to find out how to cure her curse. What begins as a Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty retelling is subverted when everything Soraya knows as reality is overthrown. It's a lovely entwining of Persian culture and myth with well-known fairy tales. Okay. This sounds really good. I'm excited for this one. I did have this on my radar, but it wasn't like at the top of my TBR. I don't own it, and I really, like I said, I don't know much about it. Wow, this first one actually went really well. Like I said, I had absolutely no idea like what even the batch of books these would be choosing from, or if they would even be ones that I would be interested in, let alone an author I've already read from before. I feel like I got really lucky on this first quiz. Now we're gonna do the second one. Don't know if it's gonna be as nice to me this time. This one is, which new book should you read over the long weekend? Ooh, these quizzes were made by the same person, so maybe she has similar book taste to me. Choose a fandom: Sherlock, BTS, Supernatural, Marvel, Liverpool, Disney. If I was answering this question 10 years ago, it would be Supernatural because I was hardcore in Supernatural fandom. I'm gonna go Marvel, even though I haven't loved recent Marvel stuff, I still really love Marvel. Choose a destination. Mexico, New Orleans, the Hamptons, Ghana, London, Ireland. Mexico or Ireland? I'm gonna do Mexico. Feeling some beach vibes. I could see my family. Choose a TV show. Nancy Drew, The Witcher, The Leftovers, Haunting of Hill House, Charmed, Insecure. Is this the new Charmed? Ugh. Okay. Well, I've only watched these 3 on this side. And I'm gonna go with The Haunting of Hill House. That's like one of my favorite TV shows. And I'm kind of in the mood for something haunted and spooky. So maybe picking that one will give me that. Choose a job. Private investigator, lawyer, cult leader, software engineer, photographer, line cook. Okay, well, all of them sound boring except for these 2. Private investigator or cult leader? I guess I'm gonna go private investigator, although cult leader does sound interesting. Choose a book. Murder on the Orient Express, Leah on the Offbeat, To All the Boys, The Pisces, The Royal We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Well, I've only read Leah and To All the Boys, and I wasn't a fan of Leah, so I'm gonna go To All the Boys. Choose a nemesis. The paparazzi, a literal demon, Twitter trolls, the popular kids, Jack the Ripper, yourself. This one's easy. I'm gonna pick a literal demon because if I'm gonna have a nemesis, it's gonna be a worthy nemesis. These other ones, they're like Twitter trolls, popular kids, no. A literal demon would be the only enemy worthy of me. Choose your ideal 4th of July plans. Oh, I guess this quiz is from 4th of July weekend. Taking a sound bath. A sound bath? The fuck is a sound bath? Going dancing, takeout and weed, catching up on work, making art, chilling with friends. I'm trying to remember, what did I do 4th of July weekend? I don't think I did anything. I guess I'd pick chilling with friends. Okay, I got Mexican Gothic by Silvia Morena Garcia. Oh my god, this is another book that is on my TBR, but I don't own, and I wasn't really planning on reading it anytime soon. I don't know who made both of these quizzes, but they have good taste in books. This twisty horror it's horror fantasy. I don't know if I knew that. This twisty horror fantasy is engrossing and wonderfully repulsive. Noemi is a socialite who delights in parties, fancy dresses, seducing men, and anthropology. After receiving a garbled letter from her recently married cousin and dear friend, Catalina, she travels to the distant village of High Place and the decaying mansion that is now Catalina's home. There she finds Catalina incoherent and lethargic, while the family she's married into exude white colonist patriarchy, except for the youngest son, Francis, whose shy demeanor and pallid looks are the exact opposite to the men Noemi typically enjoys. But in this rank home with no friends, Francis becomes an anchor for Noemi. Meanwhile, the house itself seeps into her dreams and slowly comes alive around her. Okay, this sounds really cool. You guys, I'm so excited. This turned out so well. I thought that after taking these quizzes, I might just like scrap the video if I didn't get books that I was interested in. But both of these books on my TBR, I've heard good things about both of them. I am gonna order both of these books because I don't own either of them. And then I think what I'm gonna do is these will be the first 2 books that I read in September. Okay, so I got both of the books in the mail, but as you can see, Mexican Gothic came without a dust jacket. I ordered this from Amazon and this is how it came. I'm gonna have to get a replacement for that, but Girl, Serpent, Thorn, I found this on Depop. Just so you guys know, I didn't actually get this from Book of the Month. Found it on Depop, so that's cool. But yeah, hopefully Amazon will send me a replacement for this one because that's so weird. I've never, in like all my time ordering books from Amazon, I've never gotten a book like this. But you know what? That's what I get for ordering from Amazon. I try not to do it often. I started reading Serpent, Thorn this morning, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm only about 50 pages in, but I really love the writing. So basically, this started with the main character's mom telling her a bedtime story about this little girl who goes into the forest of the Divs. Divs are basically like demonic creatures who do the bidding of the destroyer to like cause chaos in the world. And so this little girl goes into the forest and she finds this young woman trapped in a net and decides to help her and set her free. But it turns out that the young woman was a prisoner of a very dangerous Div. He is very upset and tells the girl that he is now going to take something of hers. So he puts a curse on her firstborn daughter that she will become poisonous. That story is about the main character. The main character had a curse placed on her because of her mom going into this forest, and so now she has poison running through her veins and anyone she touches dies. So she has lived a very isolated life. She really reminds me of Elsa from Frozen, but like more intense, because if anyone touches her, they drop dead. But she's lived like very isolated. She never leaves the palace. She doesn't really have any like friends. She wears gloves all the time and like is always covered up so she doesn't accidentally touch anything. Her brother just came back from like an expedition or whatever, and while he was out, a Div attacked him and they were able to capture it and imprison it. So now there is a Div in the palace dungeons, and the main character Soraya comes up with a plan to break into the dungeon so that she can talk to the Div that's a prisoner there and see if there is a way to undo her curse. And yeah, I'm loving the writing. It's very like atmospheric and fairy tale like. I mean, this is pitched as a fairy tale, but I feel like a lot of books that are pitched as being like fairy tales don't read like fairy tales. This one actually reads like a fairy tale. It has a very beautiful and luscious and whimsical narration style, but there's also like a lot of underlying darkness, which is something that I really like from fairy tales, because like classic original fairy tales are really dark stories. So I like that this has like a dark undertone to it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I have nothing going on today, so I'm hoping I can get a good chunk of it read. So we just met the Div that is in the prison. Most Divs are said to be monstrous and demonic and like look like monsters. So Soraya was very surprised to find that the Div in the dungeon looks like a beautiful woman, except she has wings, and I'm kind of getting like fairy vibes from her. And I believe that she is going to be the love interest, because I know that this is sapphic and that there's a female-female romance in it, and I am totally here for it. And I'm just loving it because Soraya is asking her if she knows how to break the curse, and she's like, why do you want to be normal? You are the most powerful person here. You need to stop letting yourself be taken as weak, because something that Soraya has always done is like made herself smaller and like shrinken into herself so that other people aren't afraid of her, and she kind of like thinks of herself as being weak when really she's so strong and like so powerful and could kill anybody in an instant. So I really like that the love interest is like, you need to embrace this side of yourself, unleash it, and be powerful. So I am over halfway into this and I am loving it so much. I definitely feel like I'm gonna be giving this 5 stars. It has literally everything that I love. The main character is definitely morally gray. She is basically like teetering on the edge of if she wants to be good or bad, and I just really love that. I love main characters who could go either way, and I really like the romances. I hesitate to say that there's a love triangle because I know that saying that will turn a lot of people off. it's unlike any love triangle I've ever read. The way that I see it in my mind is like she has two paths that she can take in her life. One of them is a path of good, and that will lead her to one love interest, and the other is a path of evil, and that'll lead her to another love interest. So like technically it's a love triangle, but it's a lot more complicated than just like, oh, there's two people who like her. It's really more like she's trying to decide who she wants to be. So I really love that. And I also love the villain. The villain is like so good. I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna like the villain, or it's gonna be like very divisive. The villain really gives me sort of Darkling vibes from the Grisha trilogy. So if you like the Darkling, I think you would like this villain. But yeah, I'm just obsessed. I love this book so much. I definitely feel like it's gonna be one of my favorites at the end of the year. So I finished Girl, Serpent, Thorn. Oh my god, I loved this so much. I'm kind of surprised how much I loved it, because while I did like this author's first book, it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. I don't even think I have ever really talked about it that much, but this was everything. I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes from it. She had read enough stories to know that the princess and the monster were never the same. She had been alone long enough to know which one she was. I feel like that quote just encapsulates why I loved this book so much, and it was mainly due to the fact that I just loved the main character. I loved her journey of trying to figure out who she wanted to be, if she was good, if she was evil, if she was strong, if she was weak, if she was a princess or a monster. Like, her journey was just so good, and the writing was amazing. I loved the setting. I feel like this is the type of book that I would love to see turned into a movie, because it would just be so beautiful and atmospheric. I also loved the romance. It wasn't very romance heavy. The main character is bi or pan, but the romantic relationships weren't like the focal point, even though I loved it and it was great. The main focus was more about Soraya and her journey. I also feel like this book kind of reminded me a little bit of like Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, just in the writing and the atmosphere of the world. It kind of reminded me of that book, which is one of my all-time favorite books. So yeah, I'm giving this 5 stars. I loved it. I'm so glad that this was one of the books that I got from that BuzzFeed quiz, because like I said, this book wasn't really near the top of my radar at all. I probably wouldn't have read it this year or any time in the near future, but it was so good. So next, I will be picking up Mexican Gothic by Silvia Morena Garcia. Amazon finally sent me a replacement copy with the dust jacket, which, can we just talk about how beautiful this cover is? Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. So I'm going to read a little bit of this tonight before I go to bed, and then I'll check in with you guys with my first impression. So last night I read about 50 pages of Mexican Gothic, and I'm unsure how I feel yet. I know with thrillers, like, they kind of take a minute to get into, but it's a little boring. Not gonna lie. So basically, this takes place in the 1950s in Mexico, and it follows this young woman who is like a socialite. She is rich and like a party girl. She gets a letter from her cousin who recently got married that is very strange. The cousin is claiming that her husband is like poisoning her and that she's not safe. And so her father decides to send her to the place where her cousin lives. It's like this isolated mansion in this town. So he sends her there to investigate and like make sure that the cousin is okay. The family that her cousin married into is a white family from, I think they're from England, and they own this town, or they run this town, and they're all super sketchy, super weird. But I don't know, like right now I'm just a little bored, but it's still like very early on in the book. It could change, but to be completely honest, if I wasn't reading this for a video, I probably would have already DNF'd it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going. We'll see. I don't have the best luck with thrillers because I usually just find them a little bit boring. I am, however, really liking the main character. She's kind of what is keeping me going, because she's not really what you would expect from a woman in the 1950s. She's very like independent and strong-willed. Hopefully I can finish this today. So I'm about halfway into it and I have no idea what's going on. Like, my guess or my prediction for what this is gonna be is like, I don't have one. I don't know if it's gonna be supernatural. I don't know if there's gonna be like a logical explanation. I don't know. So basically, she's at this house where her cousin and her cousin's new family live, and super weird stuff is going on. The family is really restricting her access to her cousin. They're not really letting her spend a lot of alone time with her, and every night she keeps having these really weird dreams that feel real, and like almost like the dreams that she's having are kind like have to do with sexual assault. It's really creepy and weird, and like I think it's not real, but I'm also like, is somebody like drugging her and sexually assaulting her? Like, I don't know. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't even know how to explain what's going on because I don't understand. I think we're not supposed to understand, so that part is like fine. But me, I like to be able to predict things and like figure out what is going on before it's revealed. And I'm at a loss. I have no idea. So yeah, I'm hoping that now that I'm a little bit over halfway, things are gonna start like picking up, because it still has been a little bit boring. But I really like the main character and I'm interested enough to keep reading to find out like what is going on in this house. Is it ghosts? I don't know. This is like, I don't know. I really hope it ends up being something supernatural and not just like a normal explanation, because I hate thrillers that make you think it's a supernatural paranormal thing and then it turns out it's just like some Joe Schmo messing with people, because that's boring. I feel like I can finish. So I have, let's see, I'm on page 199, so I have 100 pages left. I feel like I could finish this relatively quickly, because like even though I'm a little bit bored, I'm still reading it fast. It's a very quick read, so I think I'm gonna read more, and then when I get towards like when I think things are about to be revealed, I'm gonna turn my camera on so I can get my reaction, because based on the reviews that I've seen, it's gonna be weird. And I'm hoping it's like really weird, because you guys know I love weird shit in books. The weirder the better. Okay, I've been sitting in the same spot all day, but I think things are about to be revealed, so I wanna get my reaction. Hopefully this does not disappoint. What? Ew. 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 So we have like 30 pages left, but everything was revealed. It was so weird and kind of like really gross and wild, and I never would have seen that coming. I never would have guessed that that's what's going on. I'm like trying to wrap my head around what just happened. I definitely feel like this made up for the first half being boring. Honestly, I was ready to give it like 2 stars, but it's so weird. Okay, I'm gonna finish it and then I'll come back and give you like my full thoughts. Okay, my thoughts about this book. I'm like at a lot. Like, I don't even know really how I feel about this. Like I said, the first half, boring. 2 stars. Uninterested. Except I really like the main character. But then, the second half, like so many twists and turns. I did not predict a single thing that was gonna happen. If you read this book and you tell me that you predicted the ending, I call bullshit. I call bullshit. There's no way. Like, this was just so weird. It really reminded me of like a combination of a lot of my favorite horror stuff. And I feel like I can't even say what they are because they would be spoilers. Like, there's one horror movie that I love so much, and this really reminded me of it, but I can't even say what movie that is because I feel like that would spoil it. It also reminded me a little bit of like the show Elite mixed with Haunting of Hill House, because it had like the Spanish drama of Elite and like mystery mixed with like the really weird haunted mansion vibes of Haunting of Hill House. Those are the comparisons that I can give you without spoiling things, but the ending was really good. I loved the second half. If I was rating this in parts, the first half would be 2 stars and the second half will be 5 stars. So if we're going based on math and I'm splitting the difference, that would make this a 3.5 star book. But that doesn't feel right. I feel like 4 stars. Because I can kind of overlook a lackluster beginning if it has a super strong ending compared to like a book that starts out great and then just like ends horribly. So I think I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I really liked it. I talked about this a lot. I definitely struggle with thrillers, but this thriller definitely leaned more into the horror realm. So I liked that. I like thrillers that lean more horror than just like mystery. This was the first book I've read by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, but all of her books are ones that like conceptually sound really interesting to me. So I'm excited to read more books by her. And yeah, I really had fun with this video. Like I said, going into it, I was a little bit nervous because I don't normally ever put my reading decisions like entirely in someone else's hands. Even with my TBR jar challenge, I'm always picking books that I already own or that I'm already interested in. Letting BuzzFeed 100% decide what I was gonna read was a little bit scary, but I think I got super lucky because they were both books that I was already kind of interested in. Like, yes, these were both on my radar, but would I have ever actually picked them up? Probably not, honestly. And I ended up enjoying both of them, so I'm really excited. I really had fun with this video. I don't know if I will ever actually do another one in the future because I think I just got super lucky with the 2 books that I got as results to those quizzes. But yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!